Top 4 Zodiac signs who are hard to love long-term. Have you ever realized that the intensely captivating spark of a new romance can completely mutate into an agonizingly exhausting psychological marathon? While most people eventually settle into a deeply comforting, predictable rhythm of mutual attachment, these fiercely guarded individuals forcefully dismantle any semblance of romantic stability to protect their absolute sovereignty. Today, we are exploring the 4 Zodiac signs who are hard to love long-term. Is your sign on the list? Let's find out. Number 4, Leo. Operating with an intensely desperate need for absolute theatrical dominance, these heavily guarded individuals violently reject any connection failing to offer constant, blindingly radiant validation. Loving them requires an agonizingly relentless supply of psychological worship, as they absolutely refuse to tolerate microscopic fractures in your devotion. They forcefully establish an entirely impenetrable empire built on blinding pride, meticulously calculating your exact capacity to endlessly fuel their heavily weaponized charisma. If you fail to permanently maintain their fiercely protected, completely sovereign royal status, they instantaneously execute a terrifyingly vast, highly destructive emotional purge, completely obliterating the long-term romantic bond without hesitation. Number 3, Aries. Driven entirely by a raw, primal momentum, these fiercely unapologetic partners actively sabotage long-term romantic stability to forcefully avoid the terrifying liability of deep emotional vulnerability. They operate on a deeply volatile, intensely aggressive frequency, absolutely refusing to be tethered to a heavily structured, predictable domestic routine. Sustaining a connection is a deeply exhausting, terrifyingly chaotic battlefield, as they weaponize explosive aggression to intentionally incinerate any microscopic hint of codependency. They meticulously calculate an entirely impenetrable psychological perimeter, violently rejecting any attempt to domesticate their fiercely sovereign pioneer spirit. Attempting to permanently hold them completely guarantees a blindingly hot collision with their immovable, absolute autonomy. Number 2, Gemini. Sustaining a permanent attachment to this deeply chaotic intellectual agility requires surviving an incredibly dense, agonizingly exhausting psychological labyrinth. They absolutely refuse to anchor themselves to a singular, heavily guarded romantic reality, forcefully deploying a relentless barrage of shape-shifting defense mechanisms to completely avoid permanent emotional integration. Loving them long-term means fiercely battling an entirely impenetrable wall of severe psychological compartmentalization, as they weaponize a terrifyingly fast cognitive velocity to instantaneously detach from visceral intimacy. They meticulously calculate highly destabilizing emotional pivots, relentlessly utilizing an aggressively fast mental momentum to permanently lock their partners outside of their fiercely guarded, deeply complex psychological core. Number 1, Aquarius. Maintaining a lifelong bond with this chillingly objective energy means permanently battling an entirely impenetrable, deeply alien-like intellectual detachment. They aggressively enforce an extreme objective sovereignty, absolutely refusing to merge their meticulously calculated, fiercely independent reality with the deeply toxic vulnerability of human enmeshment. They systematically dismantle traditional romantic structures, forcefully utilizing a heavy, blindingly cold apathy to completely neutralize any visceral emotional demands from their partner. Loving them is a profoundly isolating, deeply exhausting endeavor, as they relentlessly weaponize their terrifyingly vast psychological fortress to guarantee absolute emotional immunity. They will instantaneously obliterate the long-term connection to fiercely protect their heavily guarded, completely untouchable autonomy. Conclusion: long-term devotion is an entirely agonizing battlefield when navigating the fiercely guarded psychological fortresses of these deeply complex individuals. Let me know your sign and thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for all the updates.